Yeah. How you all doing out there? We got this thing going. Frankie Russo pre-show. You got to join America's team and get a T-shirt. America's Team.today and get a T-shirt. RussoNation.tv and get a T-shirt. You got to join America's team and get a T-shirt. Okay? I'm working on something with America's team. It's going to be awesome. I'm working on it. So I've been, going through these different things. We had the debates. Crazy thing. How crazy was that? I'm sure you all have a lot to say about that tonight. And over an hour on the Frankie Russo show. It was a crazy, crazy situation. Crazy. Okay? But anyway, I want to kick to I want to focus on Benghazi. They've been attacking Benghazi, and it bothers me because Benghazi is a freaking, it's a problem, And obviously, we lost 4 Americans, which is very bad, horrific, on a horrific attack. Um, but I believe they're covering something up that's even a little more sinister. It's a lot more sinister what they're covering up. So we're gonna go deep waters. We're going deeper. We're gonna keep digging. As you know, let me give you an idea. I'm gonna show you before we get to the other thing I want to do. Let me see this. I got, I have a model. The model, this is my contention. The Iranian Global Terror Network. It's enormous. There's no zero footprint over here, people. This is enormous. Okay, keep that in mind. The Iranian Global Terror Network. I just want to see because I want to get this other link. If I can get it, it'll be cool. Let me see. We got okay. Good. This might be it. Let's see. It's an exhibit. No, this is not it. I'm just trying to get this up, but then we're going to get to the content. Okay, I'm going to use this. Let me see something. I'm going to use this timeline just to give everybody an idea of what we're dealing with. That one. Let me see what's down here. Where's the trumpet? Oh, here's the trumpet. Is this the Bin Laden? Okay. I'm going to go here with that. I'm going to go here with that. Okay, good. We're good. I got him now. Okay. So I just want to start off with this. And then we're going to get to the real stuff on Benghazi. I'm in 5 minutes, and the rest of this pre-show, I'm dealing with Benghazi. I just want to give everybody an idea, okay, of what we're dealing with. Now, just to let you all understand, all right, the twin Hamas, okay, no, okay, this one. June 1996, a truck bomb blows up a dormitory complex at Saudi Arabia's Crowbar Towers, a military housing complex for U.S. Air Force pilots and staff. 19 Americans are killed, 372 wounded. 1996. See, because my model starts with 650 Fifth Avenue building. And I do that because, understand, I don't sit on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, we know that. I don't sit on congressional oversight committees, we know that. I don't have access to classified documents, we know that. So how do I think through this stuff, right? There's so much material. What is the guidelines? What's the basis of my thought processes? I look for statistical significance. It's a quasi model. It's not a. I don't have this random sample, and draw inferences and conclusions out of this random sample from the population. From the population, I just like everybody else. I go into the internet and I garner and I look at different things. Now, understand something. What I'm looking for is something that's close enough to the classified documents. So that's within the standard deviation of the classified documents. That's it. Statistical significance. So I could draw conclusions, make predictions with high likelihood and high probability that it's correct. I think I'm close. So okay, so we're at the it's June 1996. We're in the Crowbar Towers, a military housing complex for U.S. Air Force pilots and staff. 19 Americans are killed, 372 wounded. So I'm giving you a little more backdrop. In an investigation by the FBI finds Shiite militants inspired, supported, directed by elements of the Iranian government responsible for the bombing in Saudi Arabia. Okay? Now, another one. A United States 2001. A United States federal grand jury indicts the leader and 13 other members of Saudi Arabian Hezbollah. That's the terrorist arm of Iran. I go right to the model. Hezbollah, Iran. It's an Iranian surrogate, part of the Iranian global terror network. That's it. I just go right to the model. Hezbollah for the 1996 Crowbar Towers attack. Elements of the Iranian government are charged with providing support. 2004, 2005, a bombing in Beirut kills 23 people, including former Lebanese Prime Minister. Hezbollah is suspected of carrying out the attack at the instigation of Iran. Okay? 2006, Quds forces reportedly trains members of Lebanese Hezbollah in Iran. 2006, December, a United States federal judge rules Iran is responsible for the 1996 Crowbar Towers bombing and orders the Iranian government to pay $254 million to the families of 17 Americans victims in damages. Okay? Wait, there's more. There's more. Here we go. Okay, wait. I don't have to go there. A Washington district court heard that Iran trained the Al-Qaeda operatives responsible for the 1998 embassy bombings in Kenya. Dr. Matthew Levitt, an expert witness for the case on the state sponsorship of terrorism, said it would not have been possible for Al-Qaeda to a reasonable degree of certainty to have executed this type of a bombing attack, which it had never previously executed without this type of training it received from Iran and Hezbollah. It took 13 years of Iran's involvement in the Kenyan bombings to become public. It may take time before all facts are known, but already there's some evidence that Iran had a hand in the Benghazi attack. But like anything else, and we've said it before, the time value of money, the time value of information. The politicians count on this information coming out later. Now, I just use those two as an example of the different things that have gone on with Iran. Iran it's the Iranian Global Terror Network, unequivocally. And now we're going to go into Benghazi. I just wanted to give you a little more backdrop, a little more background. Crowbar Towers, 9/11, 2001. It took them 10 years to come out. 2011, that Iran, according to district courts, Iran materially supported Afghan Taliban before, during, and after the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. So, in all intents and purposes, Iran is the global terror network. Okay, now this is an interesting situation, right? I'm going to go into now. Claire M. Lopez, she's a senior fellow with the Center for Security Policy and the London Center for Policy Research. She is also a member of the Citizens Commission on Benghazi. The lady is a high-level intelligence operative. She is a former CIA intelligence operative with over 20 years, over 20, 25 years of experience. She's an amazing American, and she's just, her material is just amazing. Claire Lopez, and this is for AIM, Accuracy in Media.org, AIM.org, okay? Material support to terrorism, the case of Libya. Okay, it's 12 o'clock. I'm already starting to lose my noodle. Okay, good. I've been reading through this and reading through this. So this is what she says. This is her quotes. This is all her work. Libya in 2011 marks the place and the time that the United States and the Obama administration formally switched sides in the global war on terror. A mere 10 years after Al-Qaeda, supported by Hezbollah and Iran, attacked the American homeland in the worst act of terrorism ever suffered by this great nation. U.S. leadership decided to facilitate the provision of weapons to jihadist militias known to be affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood in order to bring down a brutal dictator who also just happened to be a U.S. ally in the global war on terror at the time, Gaddafi. So we got the precursor of Benghazi, which is this fake Libyan revolution, which is really a coup d'etat. We got the event, the Benghazi unfortunate attack and killing of 4 Americans. And then we got this after attack, this after event, this after effect is better, this after effect on September 14th, which I'll talk about briefly tonight. So according to Claire Lopez, we switched sides since a mere 10 years since, because this was written in 2014, and the revolution, the quote unquote revolution in Libya, was 2011. So according to Claire Lopez, right, she's claiming that we switched sides with this so-called Libya revolution and armed and supported, materially supported is a better word, materially supported provision of weapons to jihadist militias known to be affiliated with Al-Qaeda, who was affiliated with Iran, Afghan Taliban, Hezbollah, did the unfortunate attacks on the World Trade Center. Now, according to Claire Lopez, we are materially supporting Al-Qaeda affiliates. Knowing all this, she's claiming, she says, and the U.S. media is silent. The major broadcast, print, and internet outlets said not a word about this astonishing turnabout in American foreign policy. To this day, they have not seemed to even recognize that the pivot to support Al Qaeda took place. But it needs to be said. The American people deserve to understand that their most senior leaders, both elected and appointed, have violated their oaths of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Those are big, very big, harsh words by Claire Lopez. Now then she goes into United States law is quite explicit about providing material support to terrorists. It's prohibited, period. Title 18, U.S. Code 2339A, Title 18, U.S. Code 2339B. We've talked about this in numerous shows. Addresses providing material support to terrorists or designated foreign terrorist organizations together. These two sections outlaw the actions of any U.S. person who attempts or conspires to provide or actually does provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization, knowing that it has been designated a foreign terrorist organization or engages or has engaged in terrorism or terrorist activity. Conspiracy means agreeing or planning to provide such support, whether or not such support ever is actually delivered. Penalties for conspiracy to provide material support to terrorism are stiff. Imprisonment for up to 15 years or a fine of not more than $250,000. Now, there's another law she quotes. This is all Claire Lopez. The Arms Export Control Act is another law that makes it illegal for the United States government to export munitions to any country determined by the Secretary of State to have repeatedly provided support for acts of international terrorism. While these provisions apply specifically to those countries, Cuba, North Korea, Iran, and Syria, that are designated as state sponsors of terror, the case of Libya stands out nonetheless. Just a little sidebar note. Libya was removed from the State Department's list of state sponsors of terrorism in 2006. Libya, by early 2011, was swarming with Al Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood militias, and affiliates fighting to overthrow Gaddafi. Claire Lopez. Now, she starts to get into some detail on this Benghazi, this Benghazi precursor, the Libya revolution, the Libya revolution of 2011. As with other Al Qaeda branches, the Libyan Al Qaeda affiliates, such as the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, LIFG, trace their origins back to Muslim Brotherhood in Libya. Well, this was according to a study that she cited from the Brookings Doha Center. Gaddafi took over on a coup d'etat in '69, and he's been repressing the Brotherhood, keeping them in check in '80s and the '90s. And when these Libyan fighters went to Afghanistan to join the jihadists in their battle against the Soviet Union, some fought here, like Abu Hanas al-Libi, Abdel Hakim Haji, these two figure prominently in the revolt against Gaddafi. Now, the LIFG was founded in the 90s. Some of the LIFG, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group members, moved to Sudan when Osama bin Laden and Ayman al-Zawahiri found refuge with Omar al-Bashir's Muslim Brotherhood regime in Sudan. and then eventually fled back to Afghanistan when both bin Laden and al-Zawahiri also had relocated by the mid-90s. Abu Anas al-Libi is alleged to have taken part in the pre-attack casing and surveillance of the U.S. Embassy in Kenya a few years prior to the 1998 al-Qaeda attack there. Just to give you some background on this how deep and the amount and the al-Qaeda affiliate militias that's present in Libya at this time of 2011 time is vast. By 95, this is according to Claire Lopez, by 95 things were becoming a hotbed with jihadists in Sudan. I'm paraphrasing. While bin Laden and al-Zawahiri returned to Afghanistan about that time. Al-Libi was offered safe haven in Britain, and they tried to assassinate Gaddafi and failed in 1996. Al-Libi lived in Manchester from 95 to 2000. It was a safe haven for him. Al-Zawahiri and other Al-Qaeda leaders as well, willingness to participate in assassination attempts against national leaders. So that was on their agenda as well. But what's really interesting is in the years following 9/11, various Libyan Islamic fighting group members were detained. Abu Safran bin Kumu was detained, was sent to Gitmo, and was released in 2007 and ended up in Tripoli, Libya, prison in 2007, and up to 2010 was released by Gaddafi, and we'll talk about why in a minute. And then we got both Abu Hanas al-Libi and Abdel Hakman Belhaji were captured. By the mid-2000s, Gitmo detainees were being released, as we mentioned. And so what we got now is, so now we're getting close to this, because the revolution was in 2011. We're getting close to this time frame now, because we got Abu Safran bin Kumu, we got Abu Hanas al-Libi, and Abdel Hakim Belhaji, all being released. Okay, so Abdel Hakman was released in 2008. Okay, so here we go. So, like I said earlier, Abu Safran bin Kumu was released was returned to Libya in 2007, and around 2005, Gaddafi was beginning to get into this what they call reconciliation process, because he's been in power since '69. So it was some sort of, he was trying to have a reconciliation process with his jihadist prisoners. So he ended up releasing bin Kumu in 2010. He released Abdel Hakim in 2008. And while this was going on, Christopher Stevens, Ambassador Christopher Stevens, was appointed Deputy Chief of the Mission to Tripoli in 2008. Okay. And like I said earlier, Abu Safran bin Kumu in 2010, after which he returned to Derna, bin Kumu, to begin plotting the revolt against Gaddafi. So just to give you a little outlay, because these leaders like bin Kumu and Abdel Hakim, these leaders, these are the high-level operatives that are able to organize these jihadists to do the the militia moves that they put on, for example, this revolt against Gaddafi. And we're, even as this reconciliation process was underway. This is according to Claire Lopez. I'm paraphrasing because there's a lot of data she has here. Even as this reconciliation process was underway, Christopher Stevens was preparing for his new post. The Libyan jihadists were flowing out of eastern Libya in droves to join the Al-Qaeda jihad against U.S. coalition forces in Iraq. And according to the 2010 study, they came up with coalition forces in Iraq captured a stash of documents, and it talked about it. These documents as an incubator of jihadist ideology and the place which became the cradle. So Darna is located in the eastern region of Libya, long known as an incubator of jihadist ideology and the place which became the cradle of the 2011 Islamic uprising against Gaddafi. Now, because they were going into this June 2010 study, which is an interesting study compiled by the Combating Terrorism Center at West Point, and it talks about the Al Qaeda's foreign fighters in Iraq, which is interesting. And it just talks about how some of these Libyan jihadists went over there to join the Al Qaeda jihad against U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq. So that's just, and they were just going into a little more detail on that. But now we're starting to get into the Libya thing now, which is what I want to do. So the new deputy chief of the mission, Christopher Stevens, unaware of what was going on June 2008, cable from U.S. Embassy in Tripoli that went over Stevens' signature was obtained by the London Telegraph from WikiLeaks. Okay, the report was given the name Die Hard in Derna, described the determination of young jihadists of this eastern Libya town to bring down the Gaddafi regime. Because they believed the U.S. government supported the Gaddafi regime and would not allow it to fall after it had abandoned its weapons of mass destruction programs and begun to provide counterterrorism support as documented in the West Point study, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group instead sent its fighters to confront the U.S. in Iraq, like we discussed earlier, believing that it was a way to strike a blow against both Gaddafi and U.S. backers. Okay? So we got a little general sense of what was going on. Okay. So they're trying to overthrow Gaddafi. They think the U.S. is behind Gaddafi. And so instead, for the time being, they went before the Libyan revolution in 2011, they go to Iraq to fight against the U.S. coalition, the U.S. backed, what is that? The U.S., let me get the right terminology. Right. To fight against I just want to get the right terminology down. Here. To join the Al-Qaeda jihad against U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq. So they figured they were getting two bites at the apple. They were fighting Gaddafi and the U.S. in Iraq. That's what they figured. So they went over there, some of these Libyan jihadists. Okay? But now, Korea Foreign Service Officer Christopher Stevens was first posted to the American Embassy in Libya in 2007 as the deputy, okay, let me say that again. Where did I see that? The deputy chief of mission. Okay. His second tour in Libya, Stevens was sent to rebel headquarters in Benghazi to serve as a special representative to the Libyan Transitional National Council. He arrived on a Greek cargo ship on April 5th, 2011. Okay, stayed there till November. His mission was to forge stronger links with the interim Transitional National Council and gain a better understanding of the various fractions fighting the Gaddafi regime. His reports back to Russia were said to have encouraged U.S. to support and recognize the rebel council, which the Obama administration did formally in July 2011. As it is now known, under the urging of John McCain and others, the White House endorsed Qatar's plan to send weapons to the Libyan rebels shortly after Youssef al-Qaradawi, the senior jurist of Muslim Brotherhood, issued a fatwa of they're gonna whack Gaddafi, seeking a zero footprint, no paperwork trail profile itself. U.S. instead encouraged both Qatar and the United Arab Emirates (UAE) to arm the Libyan jihadists, according to the New York Times article. Okay. Knowing full well exactly who those rebel militias and their leadership were and how closely they were connected with Al-Qaeda, and perhaps even mindful of the legal restrictions on providing material support to terrorism, the U.S. sought to distance itself as the source of these weapons, which included small arms such as atomic rifles, machine guns, and ammunition. The U.S. officials made sure to stipulate the weapons provided will come from elsewhere, but not the U.S. But in fact, that from the end of March of 2011 onward, U.S. and other NATO forces completely controlled Libyan airspace. The sea approaches to Libya means that the cargo planes and the freighters transporting the arms into Libya from Qatar and elsewhere were being waved through the full U.S. knowledge and support. The U.S. mission in Libya, especially in Benghazi, ramped up in this period to facilitate the delivery of the weapons to the Libyan Al-Qaeda terrorists, which followed should hardly have come as a surprise to anyone. After NATO air support cleared the way to Tripoli, the Gaddafi regime fell in October 2011. The Muslim Brotherhood political leadership and Al-Qaeda fighters took over. Abdel Hakman was named Tripoli military commander. Chaos reigned, especially in eastern regions. Now the weapons flow reversed out of Libya into the hands of the jihadists in West Africa, the Sinai, and Syria. Some of the flow was widely disorganized and some of it was directed, with the U.S. mission in Benghazi once again playing a key role as its teams on the ground facilitated the weapons delivery, now designated for Syrian regime rebels. I'm going to read this again. Some of the flow was widely disorganized and some of it was directed with the U.S. mission in Benghazi, once again playing a key role as its teams on the ground facilitated the weapons delivery. Now destined for the Syrian rebels dominated by Al-Qaeda and Muslim Brotherhood, who were fighting to overthrow the the Assad regime. In this endeavor, the U.S. was allied with the new Libyan partner, which is the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and once again with Qatar. And so, according to Claire Lopez, which I think she presents a very compelling case of the United States in the precursor of Benghazi, we are siding with the Al-Qaeda regime. The Al-Qaeda affiliated regime, one of the offshoots of these radical Islamists was the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. So, very interesting. Material support to terror. All right, so I'm going to get ready for my pre-show. So, I'm going to kick now. I'm going to get ready for the live show. This is the Frankie Russo show. I just wanted to give you a little background on Benghazi. I'm going to talk about it on the live show. I'm going to go into more detail on Benghazi. You got to join America's team and get a t-shirt. You RussoNation.tv, America's Team.today. This is the Frankie Russo show, pre-show number 88. Yeah. I'll be on the air about a little more than a half hour. Frankie Russo, yeah. Remember, we're going to do this. Join America's team and get a t-shirt. Frankie Russo pre-show, yeah.